So, do you want to come into the episode just being like, let's fucking do it?
I don't know. I got
do
the
you guys have the energy for that? Okay.
Alright.
Let's fucking do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're back.
We're back. More Snake fans.
Or Snake fans.
That's what we've all been missing, Snake
you know
fans.
what this needs? More Snake fans.
More Snake
Whoa,
fans.
look at that guy.
Staring right at me.
Didn't see you though.
No, he didn't see me. I'm gonna actually. The pattern he walks in is quite boring.
Right.
Really.
Look, he didn't even look.
I know.
He's half-assing it.
He's just going through the motions of his life. Just let him go, man. Let him go. He's got other problems.
There he goes.
No wonder you can sneak in. Dude's halfway doing his job.
Oh, now he fucking sees you.
Yeah.
It was the Kodak that gave you away. I love when you punch him in the face, how a big cloud like comes out.
A
Like dust.
cloud
Yeah.
of blood.
Blood and spit.
That's just how badass Snake is. You guys give Snake a bad rap, but you punch someone and have a cloud of blood come out. So.
And runs knee high.
Yeah, exactly.
Codes and disengage the safety device. We can launch anytime.
Anytime.
There's still no response from Washington.
It's like they tried to do some weird depth of field thing here and it
Just didn't work.
not enough power to do it.
Just blurred everything.
No, there's been a change.
I just, every time Liquid opens his mouth, it ruins it for me. That accent is just, what are you thinking?
Neither you nor Mr. Golukovich
But it's also so great.
Well, it's great in a campy sort of way.
Yeah, I love Liquid.
Yeah.
But why?
But I'm sure the Japanese version, he's very just like a deep guttural voice and very like
Sort of like Raiden.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Completely different type of voice.
but a nuclear
I like that they're talking about these really sensitive facts about what they're doing and things like that, and there's actually a camera in the room scanning. Like it may be not taking sound, but even so, seems like a bad idea.
I also like when people in movies like this, they're talking and very important things, but they can't look at each other. They gotta be facing in opposite directions and frowning with their arms crossed.
Hold on a second. I'm going to look over here and talk about this.
It's so serious, I gotta look at this corner.
Contemplative.
When the other countries
I don't think Ocelot actually has eyes in this game.
I don't think anyone has eyes in this game. They just have eyebrows that furrow.
He's just pointing that stump at him right now.
A bloody stump.
Why doesn't he hang it to his side? I don't understand.
Well, he's always got to be like pretending he's holding a gun, so it's just like his stump is his new weapon.
Oh my god.
$1 billion.
$1 billion.
$1 billion. Holy shit.
I'm also including the Fox dye vaccine in our demand.
Oh, look at this
Fox
high-tech screen.
Killed octopus in the arms tech press.
What? What's going on, guys?
Affects older people.
Octopus. Arms tech.
Mantis might not have been affected.
Stumps.
Mask. Metal Gear.
He still got killed.
Metal Gear.
Tranquilizers she always
Oh.
Oh, man.
Something to do with the adrenaline level in the blood.
Snapper Wolf was a junkie.
I sure hope nobody's listening to this.
We're still experimental.
She did take a pill. Remember?
Well, so did you. You take it when you use the sniper rifle. Everyone takes those pills.
your friend can say
Guys pay him like it's candy.
Yeah.
But the way that she
Check
took
color
it,
like
it
him.
seemed like it
Has
was
doubts about the ability of Metal Gear.
bad.
He said we can talk after Metal Gear's test launch is successful.
he's a very prudent man.
But I was talking about this before. They do put a lot of effort into like this just random office.
Yeah.
The screens are all fully rendered and everything.
Yeah, I guess like with cutscenes like this, you really can't get bored because there's so much.
Well, I
to
think
look
people would
at.
argue with you there, but yeah, I see what you're saying. You're supposed to be, yeah. I mean, at the time, you're really supposed to be immersed into it because you're like, oh man, look at these computers and
Yeah,
the
nobody's done
design.
anything like this at this point.
Yeah, and like you were saying, Dora, with the 3D heads-up display above him, it's
Yeah.
super futuristic.
Wow.
Ocelot's butt.
He's the one who gave us the Hind and most of our other heavy firepower.
Man, the Russian connections.
Soldiers under his command. If we join forces, we could put up quite a resistance here. Since Mantis died, the genome soldiers' brainwashing
Genome
started
soldiers.
north. I'm worried about the men's morale.
Liquid is worried about the men's morale. That's just a weird
No,
thing to.
that can't be right.
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere. We're going to dig in here.
You can still escape.
It's like,
We've got the most powerful weapon ever made.
so basically Liquid's plan is the same plan that Big Boss had in the first two games. And that's what I keep saying, is that it's just a remake of the first two games. But it's so half-assed. Like, if you look, like, think about the backstory of the first two games and what's been established in the first two games. These are things that Big Boss was building over years and years, amassing his army. And he was using political powers and sneaking in and stealing other people's nuclear weapons over a long period of time. Fucking Liquid just burst into a nuclear like facility, and he was just like, I'm gonna slap together this army and take over the world. And it's just like, there you go.
You might call him impatient.
Yeah.
Hey, Justin, would you say that this room is kind of like the war room in
Not worried about the PAL being
Strangelove? Because they do have a big map over to the side with like lines.
Yeah,
pointing to
I can see that.
different areas.
Usually the war rooms that reference Strangelove have that big circular lamp that looks like a mushroom cloud. But I think you're right. There might be an influence there because obviously we know Kojima's a fan of Dr. Strangelove because of fucking Strangelove in Peace Walker. So that's your direct connection there. But I see what you're saying, like the big slanted map of the world with like
Yeah, and it
nuclear
had
weapons.
like yeah
that might be
nuclear
a reference
warheads
there.
where they're planning to go and things like that.
See, Meryl's alive. That means you did the torture scene good. Thanks, Josh.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Baker's top secret files. Great job.
Great job.
They finished inputting
Those words have never come out of his mouth, so.
deactivate them. Okay, you see the override system that the president was talking about. It can also be used to input the detonation codes.
This is some high-tech shit.
If you insert the keys when the warhead is active, you deactivate it. And if you insert them when it's
Inactive.
it becomes activated.
Snake is just like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Back up.
You lost me at keys.
Can you draw me a diagram?
Like Snake is just like this jock. And Otacon's explaining all this. He's like, what the fuck you call me?
Hold on a second. Let me get a sheet of paper. I gotta draw this out.
What are you talking about?
Exactly. Yeah, and what is with old games? They always have to have the exclamation point question mark. You just, he said, what are you talking about? And it had both punctuation.
Yeah.
It changes shape at different temperatures. The key is made out of it.
And I'm like a broken record when it comes to this. But when you play this for the first time, you're like, oh, that's a really interesting concept of the key cards changing their function according to the temperature they're set. Guess what? It's from Solid Snake. That was originally in the MSX game. So it's just he's kind of just recycling ideas at this point.
And it's cool that like memory alloys are a real thing.
Uh-huh.
Each symbol corresponds.
Like they always like Metal Gear games are fantastical in a lot of ways, but they also have a lot of grounded stuff that is
Yeah.
like based in reality.
Well, I think it's funny because I always like it's just like it's the same idea, but realistically, what it probably is that Kojima had this really cool idea, and he couldn't really flesh it out in fucking the pixels that were in the MSX. So when he got this new next-gen console, the PS4 or the PS1, he was just like, I get to use that idea and actually make it cool. And I mean, because in this game you actually have like a foundry level, you have a refrigerator level. They actually look like the climates they're supposed to be. Whereas in the MSX game, the rooms that you went to, they were just a different color. So I think he was just him going back and trying to realize the ambitions that he had. Who's that? Who's that elbow?
Oh, there
Damn.
Damn.
Man, that thing is falling slowly.
Snake,
This is bulletproof glass. There's no way in. I'll enjoy watching you die.
Such an evil like Bond villain.
Yeah.
Wow.
Snake, you've got to get that.
I wonder if Liquid is actually that evil, or if he's kind of putting on this persona of the mega villain because he feels like he's trying to follow in the boss's footsteps, and that's his idea of what bad guys are like, or bad guys from Bond movies, you know, cartoonish villains. Because even Boss wasn't like that. Big Boss wasn't like that at all. He was very stoic and just kind of like, I'm gonna kill you now. That's what's gonna happen. Yeah,
Liquid's also got a bit of a chip on his shoulder
yeah.
about being the lesser clone.
He's got some inferiority complex issues going on. Also, he's probably just crazy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would imagine that being a clone. I think in general, I think your DNA is not exactly like. I mean, something's wrong. Something's not right.
Well, that is actually a topic that's going to come into play well into the series as it comes up.
I'm hoping that we get enough. Like, I hope, despite what it seems like, that with Liquid, potentially Eli, who we think is Liquid, being in the Phantom Pain,
possibly,
that we might get a little more fleshed out Liquid story. Because, I mean, as Kojima said, that he regrets killing Liquid off so early, and I don't know. I feel like a lot of fans really like Liquid, but we don't get enough Liquid.
Well, same with Grey Fox.
Yeah,
who
same
might
deal
be
there.
in that game. Who might be? I think it would be interesting if the way they portray Liquid, if he's in that game, is if he's not like this. You know, like if it's a persona that he puts on, and that would explain, like, would give more depth to his character.
Mm-hmm.
That he's not just this cartoonish villain that's very theatrical, brothers, which is in a different game. But when we get to that point, I think it would be cool to see him as actually this troubled, twisted kid who puts that personality on because it's forced on him. It really does seem like Liquid, in the whole series, Liquid is one of those characters that really gets the short end of the stick. He pretty much gets fucked over. And it's not really clear...
And that's probably a lot to do with why he's got that sort of chip on his shoulder.
Yeah. And one thing they never really explore, which I think would be really interesting and might be in the future, is why Liquid went this direction and Snake went in the direction he did, when they were pretty much, and this is all subtext in the background, they're pretty much the same person. They did the same things, except for Snake actually killed Big Boss in the first two games. And I think I talked about this in an earlier episode. It's implied that Liquid, he's a Foxhound member, and he's working for Foxhound. He is the one that filled in Snake's shoes when Snake was in retirement. Mm-hmm. So Liquid did all the same things that Snake did. There was no real difference. It's just that at some point, Liquid snapped, and he decided, hey, I'm going to hold the world hostage. And you don't really get to see where that point came, because he's already gone past that point of no return where he's kind of crazy at this point, and he's trying to make himself into the next big boss. I know he has a lot of speeches in this game that kind of give you some background, but I mean, they're kind of clunky because we haven't fleshed out the universe yet. And I think that would be really cool in the Phantom Pain, when that comes out, if we get to see who he is as a kid and we actually understand his story more. Because as far as we know, it might even be that Big Boss had more hands-on time with Eli, if that's Liquid. Because we really don't know a whole lot about Big Boss and Snake's relationship, other than the fact that Snake didn't know he was his dad until right before he killed him. Which is like a crazy dramatic moment that we never got to see.
But then is he really his dad? Or is he really his brother? Or is he really just
that's weird.
himself?
Yeah.
Well,
he's not a perfect clone.
How do you define that sort of
when
he's made of the same genetic material? Is it a brother? Is it himself? Is it his dad? Is it...
Metal Gear raises a lot of questions. But I think that's going back to what we were talking about earlier about Kojima revisiting ideas that he didn't really get to flesh out before. And that makes me wonder, because now there's a lot of talk about whether or not he's going to remake the MSX games, the first Metal Gear and then Solid Snake, but make them with the Fox engine. And that's
in the recent Gamescom interview, he was asked, if you could remake one of your games in Fox Engine, which would it be? And he said Metal Gear Solid 1.
Yeah, that's weird.
And he said that it would be a completely different game than what it is currently.
Yeah, take that, Twin Snakes.
But he said that he would like to remake, or that if he were to remake one, it would be MGS1.
That's weird though, because I mean, so many people would be like, why would you fuck with something that's already gold? It's great as it is. I think it would be a better idea to retool the first MSX games, because those weren't.
Well, if these
what
are
you
essentially a remake, if this is essentially a remake of those, then you sort of already.
But that's the confusing thing. It's canon. Like, all three games are canon. Mm-hmm. And that's where we get to Metal Gear Solid 2, where it's confusing about. That's when he starts playing with the idea of sequels. What's canon? What's not canon? And so that's a complicated conversation we're going to have at that point. It's a really convoluted, and we're really left in the dark that the direction of the series is going to go after the Phantom Pain. I'm really curious how that game's going to end. Probably not at all how we expected.
Oh, you just threw it up there underneath the screen.
Take that, high-resolution display. Futuristic my ass.
Which were you going to do first? You going to cool the key or heat the key first?
I actually found this out the hard way, because last time I played, I went and tried to heat the key, through the furthest first, and then move my way back. But it actually because it won't let you. You have to do it in order.
You have to do cold first. Okay.
That's why it took so long last time I played, is because this is like the longest, I'd say, the most backtracking you do in the game.
Yeah, this is what I usually think about when I think of backtracking in this game.
Yeah, and so it really can. If you have to do things over again, it really does like eat time. So we're gonna cool it first, and then I'll go back.
Cool it down, people. Cool it down.
Can we play? You got to cool it now.
All right, it's gonna be the name of this episode. Cool it down. Basically, it's one of the reasons I don't like. I've already said this on the show, but that's why I do not like Metal Gear 2. It's not my favorite. It's because it's 90% this. What we're doing right now. I gotta go back to the room and get this, and then I come back to where I was, unlock something, and then go back to that other room and come back. And it's so tedious.
Whoa.
Look at that camera angle.
He's coming right at us.
Crotch shot.
Yeah, what a weird, but that is a really strange way to like have the camera move for a video game, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the really interesting things about this game. And Josh, you and I were talking about this earlier, about how Kojima, when he approached specifically this one, he said he didn't want to make a video game. He wanted to make a movie that you could play. It's really weird how he plays around with camera angles in-game. Because a lot of times we have this top-down view, which is referencing the earlier MSX games. But like things like that, where it spins around and you get those weird camera angles and he's running at you. When you compare it to something like Resident Evil 1 with the fixed camera angles, it's really strange, because that's also something that he's always messing around with. And I think we touched on this in an earlier episode, but it's weird how we've gone from all these different camera angles. And I think in the Phantom Pain, it's pretty much fixed at this point now. Yeah, instead of spinning around and having these weird things you can do.
Yeah, it's a player controlled until the cutscenes, and then it's all one single shot.
Yeah.
The camera never cuts. Which, yeah, I think it's interesting that he experiments with that sort of stuff when he's making a game. He experiments with like camera techniques and filming, even though he's making a game, while also making some of the best games ever made.
Yeah. Well, I think it's weird to mark that evolution from having all these weird, different interlocking camera angles and kind of jarring and confusing camera angles at time. And now he's just like giving up. And he's like, yeah, you guys just take care of all that shit. But, that's not fair, though, because he actually did a lot of research to have that continuous camera shot stuff.
Yeah, the amount of work it takes to, like, set up, like, it's similar in a way to doing, like, a one take in film, but except that, like...
Yeah, the long take.
With having computer-generated stuff, it's a lot easier to reset and redo than it would be to, like, do with live actors and, like, all these things that need to be, like, new things that need to be set up.
Yeah.
Like if you blow a bunch of squibs, you need to reset all those. Thing. Like, whereas with a game, you can just reset it and that's that.
Literally reset. Press a button and reset.
But it is a lot of work to choreograph like how the camera is going to move throughout the scene to make everything look really great.
Well, yeah, because they don't actually have like real cameras that are sitting somewhere. They have to, digitally rendered things that they have to make sure, and then you have to deal with glitches and everything. Yeah, so I mean, it's really hard. They have how many people are working on a Fox? The Kojima Productions, I guess. They have, like, it's the biggest team ever.
Yeah, but I think comparatively to, like, other development studios, it's probably pretty small.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
It's amazing what they're able to do with such a small team, whereas, like, a team like Ubisoft having, like, 900 employees working on one game, like, dwarfs the size of probably Kojima Productions teams, but Kojima Productions turns out a quality of product that can't be touched by Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Just insane to me.
Hey, look at that. We brought it back full circle.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good point. Full circle, we're going to probably cut it here.
Going to put in our PAL code when we get back, or our cold PAL key. And
we're going to cool down that computer.
Yeah.
Cool it down, everyone. See you next time. We're going to heat things up.